is here! The champ is here! The champ is here! The champ is here!
Welcome back, everybody, to Belt Kings Radio presents Champions. And today is a special day. You'll see my face. A momentous day. You still see my face. Because in episode 6, we get to discuss one of my favorite titles of all time. Like Charlotte Flair. Y'all seen it this past weekend, NXT TakeOver on Raw. She is the greatest women's wrestler of all time. And so, in my opinion, is today's title. The television championship belt is here. And as always, I am joined by my host. My kicks are my fix. What's going on, nephew Corey?
What's going on, man?
How you doing, brother? How you doing?
Great, man.
Good wrestling weekend we just had also, by the way. I want that to be known. Mm-hmm. And also joining us today, another member of the Belt Kings. If you don't know him, just Google him. I mean, he might show up on a video somewhere in your local news network during WrestleMania time, but I don't know. Welcome to the show for the first time, Belt King, his own right, Mo _Eaton on the Twitter. What's going on, Mo?
What's going on? If that's nephew Corey, can I be long distance Mo? Can I be a distant cousin Mo or something?
Well, today, guys, thank you. Corey came up with this. He did give the hint last week. And up until about 48 hours ago, maybe less, I didn't even ask him, was he sure this is the belt? I assumed this is what he was talking about. And it was the belt he was talking about. And Corey, today's championship title belt we are discussing is which one, my brother?
Let's make sure we give it its proper introduction. The NWA World Television Championship.
That beautiful beam footage, which is the first belt I ever saw as a child that had color leather. Now, I know people will tell me I may have missed, and if I'm wrong, that's why I got you, historians with me. The Big Goatee wasn't maroon then. It was black, right?
The Big Gold was always brown.
Okay, brown, right.
With the oils and stuff that these wrestlers wear and all that, the wear and tear of the leather, it looks black.
Okay.
But it didn't even turn black until pretty much its last days. And I think it's when they made the new belt that they actually were using maybe in 99 or 2000.
Okay.
That was the black strap. All the other ones, it looked black because it was so terribly tarnished with the leather, but it was always brown.
Okay.
So that one, and then the other one you're probably going to say, which probably I believe came after the NWA Television Championship, was the NWA United States.
Right. Which also gave you red leather.
Yep.
And for me, so this is probably one of the first color leather belts, at least in my mind and memory, in my childhood, that stood out for me. And what also stood out for this belt for me was that in the world of gold titles, it was silver.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It was silver. That red with that silver meant a lot. And what also meant a lot for me for this title, and we're going to get to the craftsmanship right away, real soon, was we all watched wrestling on TV, right?
Yeah.
So, you're the television champion. And for me, growing up, this was bigger than any championship there was until later in life when the Intercontinental belt became really important to me. You know, the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship, which we already discussed on episodes of Belt King. But as always, people, to join the Belt Kings crew, you can follow us on everywhere at Belt Kings. You got to have at least 5 belts to be considered a Belt King. All right? That's all we ask. And it's a lot of you out there. And all you belt dukes and belt knights and belt jesters, it's okay. We love you. We are not turning you away. All right? Belt fans matter. Okay? And so because of that, I say 5 belts. Corey is in with the...
Yeah, you know me. Yeah, I'm just like, listen, we're all winners.
Take it from a guy that has as many as all of us, okay?
Everybody get a participation award, so...
I don't want my kids to have a participation award, but you know what? You still get them anyway, right? But today's belt is that NWA World Television title, Corey. And maker, belt thickness. Give us the info about this. I'm going to say it again. Beautiful bean footage of a championship.
So it's so funny with these older belts that don't really have too many replicas out there, like licensed replicas out there. You don't really get the specs too much of these. And that's the kind of main thing that we get on this show is that, we try to give as much information as possible. sometimes it's just not available. And some of these belts are older, so you don't really get the specifications. So you kind of not wing it, but you take an eye approach and you look at it, and you can kind of tell what it is. And first of all, the original maker I couldn't really find, but I know Dave Milliken has made this belt before.
Okay.
So we're gonna roll with that one for the time being. He may not be the original maker, but I know he has made the belt before, and he probably made it in the later stages.
Okay.
With the black leather.
Okay.
And we'll get into that.
Okay.
But this belt, a lot of the NWA belts from back then were relatively small. They were the ones that followed that tradition of, as we talked about in the earlier episodes of belting, with the belts being the world championship being bigger,
which made you know that you were the champion, the world champion.
Yes. And so this one was relatively smaller, and you can see a lot of people that held it, it looks smaller, but the prestige with the banners on it that said world television champion and the NWA letters, and to me, in which you may or may not be able to see it, but a lot of people, the cameras that are on the belt, see, I already did. I knew he was going to see it. The cameras that are on the belt, and the probably the favorite part of that belt to me are the side plates.
Oh.
With the network station.
Yes.
On that's why a lot of people love this belt. That's probably the coolest feature on the belt are the television stations.
ABC,
Maurice, I know
CBS.
ABC, CBS, and NBC.
Yeah.
And Maurice, I know you've seen this belt before. Is that something you always liked about that belt?
Definitely, because it separated it from everything else. It gave it its own uniqueness, along with the silver color and the red strap to it. So it, like I said, it separates it. So we tend to find things that always look the same or follow the same pattern, but they basically broke the mold when they went on in this lane, right?
Yeah.
When you say that it's the smaller of the belts, right? And when you were bringing that up, it made me think of for me the GOAT of this title, Double A R Anderson. We're skipping, y'all know how the show goes, right? You're going to get to that, but R Anderson is the GOAT of this belt. And the first thing came to my mind was watching interviews on TBS and him and Flair, and I just see the big Goldie, huge gold, right, and then small red silver. You know what I mean? So that was a very big distinction when we went back earlier in past episodes to talk about how when WWE did it with the Intercontinental titles getting smaller for the world title, so I identify who's the bigger champion. And that just came to my mind when you said that. More information about the belt if you have it.
Well, if you notice too, more going back to its size, the television title was smaller than the United States title also. And if you go back and looked at that, you could see the tag championship kind of had its own mold. But if you look at the NWA championship, you could see the difference in size going down based on the tiers of the championship. And that belt also with the difference with the red leather and the black leather, I want to say that was switched. I want to say either 89 or 90.
Yeah, it was around 91, 90.
Yeah, okay.
Around
maybe
that time.
90, 91. Yeah, that it switched from the red leather to the black leather. And it was always so cool to see that because, like I said, you didn't see color on championships back then. You did. And to see that red belt, you knew. That's why it was so interesting that even though the size differentiated it, the colors of it, knew that was the television championship. You knew it. Like, you could see a silhouette of that belt and you knew which belt that was. And that's interesting. You could see belts without even seeing it. You kind of know which one it was. And it was funny because the NWA back then, a lot of their belts, like the national championship, they all looked like the Dome Globe World Championship. They just looked different on the front a little bit. But it's so funny how different companies kind of copy the moldings, because I think the WWE or WWE, it's so weird that when we're talking about it, it's so weird that you're so used to saying WWE, but WWF, and it was probably WWF, tag belts almost mirrored the Dome Globe at one point.
To me, the closest belt to this one, I believe is the excuse me, the AW. Oh God, Lord forgive me. Help me out, guys, and I apologize. When it came on ESPN.
AWA?
AWA, thank you. AWA title was those belts were all similar with that oval swerve, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know people, and for those who are watching on video versus those who are listening to the podcast, we tried to have these titles for you. And I have a question, not a question, I'll give you something, guys. Reason this is a belt that I love, my favorite belt that I didn't have, Corey and Mo, maybe you guys can also add to this, is that this belt was difficult to buy because of the licensing of the NWA. So it wasn't like going to, if I wanted to spend the 5 or the 6, if I was wanting to do that at a wrestling shop or WWE shop, if they sold it, they didn't sell it because at the time, every time I was looking for it, I'm talking about 9, 8, 10 years ago. You know what I mean? They were, I'm going to pay $3,000-$4,000 just to have the NWA on it because they just wasn't selling it because NWA was, that's the one company Vince doesn't owe. And if I'm right here, right? Mo, you have any validity to that store?
To my knowledge, that's why. And if I'm gonna do that pricing on a belt, I want it to be as close to the look, the original looking as possible. Regardless of what I'm spending on the belt, I want it to look as close to the original as possible.
Absolutely.
Even with today's belt,
you think that was the license thing of look, or because of the law, like the licensing, like not having the permission or having to pay for the permission also?
Of course. I mean, because it's a money thing.
Okay.
Everybody want that coin at the end of the day. Even with some of the belts that's out now, that were quote unquote WWF belts, me personally, I would rather have a WWF on that WWF versus a WWE.
We're going to get into that discussion. Yes. Thank you.
In our group pictures, if when we got posted on websites and, things like they blocked out the WWF logo in certain spots, so, but I preferably want to keep it as close to original as possible.
Yeah. NWA was the stingiest of the that as far as the licensing, because their name, it was so extra.
It's important. It's the last name that's held in that too.
It's heritage,
but it's the last name. Yeah, it's heritage, right? It's that there's WWE and there's NWA. You can say it's NWA. That's the name that's still holding in wrestling today. Go ahead, Corey.
And always will.
And always will.
Yeah, it's interesting because the NWA replicas, when they start, for the brief time that it was only licensed through NWA, that they were the ones releasing their replicas. I think the only ones they did were the tag titles and the domed globe. I think those are the only 2 licensed replicas that the NWA ever released. I don't remember seeing an NWA United States or NWA television.
The world title that your uncle, Dr. D, from the wrestling Mark Session, the firm himself, that's one of his favorite titles. Every time I see him, that was, what was in between that title and say this television title that we're talking about now? Well, because they both have NWA on it, if I'm not correct, or am I incorrect?
No, they do. But the Dome Globe, that was the one. I mean, that's the original NWA, not the original, but that's the one that you
Harley Race and them, right?
Yep, that was the one that had notoriety to it. So that, and because I believe the NWA, because there was kind of a joint ownership between Flair and the NWA as far as the Big Gold is concerned.
Okay.
The NWA never had really the rights to release the NWA Big Gold when they were releasing their replicas.
Okay.
Everybody that, when you see NWA replicas, if you see one of those that's a licensed replica from the NWA, they have no affiliation with WWE with their releases of replicas.
Okay.
That was an NWA licensing. So those belts that you see and that's why they're so hard to find. And when you do find an NWA licensed replica, much like Maurice touched on with the WWF logo belts, that's why they're so high in demand, because you had such a short window to buy them.
Right.
The heritage, like you mentioned, NWA, of WWF.
Right.
That makes a total difference. And that's what he kind of leaned into with, he wants belts with
More authenticity.
with the F logo on it, for instance, WWF. And because I've had a lot of people ask before, they're like, I want the F. I said, listen, if you just want the design of the belt,
Okay.
go ahead and just buy the one with the WWE logo. That's me, because if you're just looking good because you
get a
want
belt
that in your collection, then go ahead and get if you're more specific, and I touched on this maybe a show or two ago, and I had Maurice in mind with this. If you're there's a difference between you collecting just you want that belt because you remember when you were a kid, as opposed to, listen, I'm collecting belts. I needed it, like Maurice said, as close to the original as possible.
I like that.
Going after the F. There's a difference. You don't want it. If you're going to spend money and you just want the belt because you want the belt in your collection, get the one WWE sells now with the WWE Legends logo on it.
I like that.
You want the belt in your collection. If you are collecting to have, for the purpose of belts, to have them for the originality, for the, and heritage is such a good word because that's what it is. For the heritage of the belt.
Today's word of the day, heritage.
Yeah, there you go. You're gonna be wanting to spend that money to have that F on there. It makes a total difference. People like me, you, and Mo, we want the F on there.
Well, no, I'll blind tag you there because, again, I say this every week because I honestly mean this. This is why I love this show, because I learn something every single week here. I never paid attention. Now, I've been using the term to promote one of my other shows, 50 Shades of Black and Wrestling Fans. Now, I have another one, 50 Shades of Belt Collectors, because I just want the F because I prefer the F. I never even paid attention and when that actually happened and took place. Well, with that happening. So that's crazy because I never even paid attention, like just to even. And I remember when we, like Mo mentioned, and I've seen everybody's pictures been out there. They'll block it off or they'll take this away. And I thought because of company reasons, as me being a one who collects belts, who purchases titles, if you will, so to speak. I just think I never paid attention. And now you're saying that, and I'm in my mind the whole time. I'm like, I think most of mine are Fs, but I never even took the chance to even honestly look. Yeah, to be honest. I know the difference. I hear you guys talking. I see what you guys, I hear it, but I didn't pay attention to it. It's why it's mind blowing to me right now, because I just wanted that belt, as you said, Corey, because that's the belt I wanted. I didn't even pay attention to, I wanted because it had the F versus the E. When people would point out, you got the F on your belt, I was just like, oh, cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a big difference
we see.
That's a big difference. And Maurice, he gets it all the time as well. Like, if you see people with the F on it, people that know are kind of like, oh, okay. Like, that's okay. That's kind of.
Yeah. Belt King stuff right here, people. Belt King stuff.
And see, it's not to put down or differentiate somebody if they have the wing or the the classic IC with the WWE logo on it. Because to be honest, the ones that they make now are way better quality than the replicas we bought with the F on it back then. So
ain't that the truth, Ruth?
It is. I try to tell people, if you listen, if you want the ones, those are closer to what they were selling back in 2004. We mentioned this.
Say it. Teach.
If the ones back then, those Master Series and those replicas, that Master Series now it's closer to what you're getting with replicas in the sense of the thickness of plates and things like that. It's closer to what they were selling for $700 back then. But
almost all my belts need re-leathering.
Yeah, and see, we'll have to get into
almost literally, and we might have to have a show for the leathering of, because as we make this show for collectors of belts and talk about the belts and the history of the belts and things like that. That's a real thing we have here. Like, I'm almost embarrassed to take certain titles out of the house because the leathering is so bad.
Yeah, but the real ones though, Mike.
Yeah.
No, but the real ones, like we know how those belts were made. Where if you've got, a lot of people get trippy about the cracking, and I get that. But if you know belts and you know how they were doing replicas back then, if I've seen it before at shows, people had that belt on, and I'm like, that's an original.
That's what he's going through.
Like that's a Figures Incorporated replica where the
Figures Incorporated.
Back then, you know, I mean, it was to us, the quality was great. But as you see belts, you know, evolve of replicas over the years, like those replicas back then are relatively trashed compared to what you're getting now.
Yeah.
But it's that, like Mo said, you know, it's that lineage of you having replicas from back then. It's a total, like for me, I was only going after belts with the F1 unless they only made it with the.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Maurice.
No, I was agreeing with you. If I could find it, I'm gonna get it. You know, so
yeah.
I mean, they're becoming harder to find. And especially in my price range.
Understandable. Understandable.
You know,
It's
I have
funny.
broken my price range 3 times.
I know you have.
I'm about to go up. It's about to go up to 5 times with Brandon, but you know. You know, but it becomes addictive, like, you know, but you just keep pushing, you know, you know what you want, especially if you know it's out there, be patient too. You know, it may not last long, but you know, just be patient because it's coming around, you know, don't be eager to jump on the first thing you see, you know, it's coming around.
Why you think
good
I
things come to those who
constantly,
wait.
why you think I constantly, my wife be like, why don't you just, I'm like, no, like Belt King, this is what it is. I'm an OG. I haven't, you know, doing this show has revamped my ampness to get back into the collection game. You know what I mean? And so hence the Slammies and the TV title I do have coming. Like I say, how many times I know you probably get tired, like, dude, just look it up. I said, you're like, what about this belt? What about this title? What do you think about this place? Because so many places will send you, you know, and you, like you said, well, you got to be patient and looking at what's going on. Like I said, years ago, I could have got this belt, and years ago, I almost cracked at $1,400 because I told you I was looking at prices for the television title. The lowest I had got was like $400, maybe $3,200. I had found somebody, I think it was AJS at the time. Okay, there was like, I do it for $14, and it was the licensing that was their most. He was like, the license itself was like $900.
Yeah,
by
that's
itself
what it is.
was the licensing, and he was going to do the other thing. You know what I mean? And that's why I currently got my title coming from now. Okay, I got mine come from AJS belts. Again, for me, and look for people who are listening and watching, I am particular about my finances. You have to be, you know, your finance. You know how you shop. I know Mo here's an eBay guy. I've been terrified of eBay my entire life because I got burned twice. You know what I mean? So just be careful out there. Make sure you're doing your due diligence. Hopefully, you have some Belt King friends like I do that you can, you know, throw some their way and have them say yes or no. Because a couple weeks ago, I sent Mo some. Mo said, "Don't do that." It wasn't for me. It was for my boy. And he was like, "Don't do that." And I was like, he was like, "Give me the link." I said, "I can't." Yo, they told me I'd have been really bad if I let you buy that title. So just be careful out there. But let's get into my favorite title.
Ooh, one more small little thing. Small little addendum to what you two were saying.
Like that word.
Also, please remember that sometimes know your budget, basically, because sometimes these quality is going to cost you a little bit. You don't have to go over what you're, know your budget, but also know if you're getting something, know that you're going to have to pay a little bit sometimes.
Educate them. What do you think's a safe range? And I'm not saying your range. What do you think as someone who wants to collect, as somebody who wants to collect titles, wants to become a Belt King, Belt Queen, Belt Prince? What's the limit? Because for me, I would tell somebody around $430.
It's different though, because you can't really baseline it.
Okay,
because you don't know what you're looking to get.
Right.
Yeah, that was what I was about to say. That's exactly what I was about to say.
On the low end, I'm gonna say $250.
Okay.
And go on eBay and find something.
You know, I mean, even on the shop when they had it up to 50% off.
Yeah. Now, see, you know what's funny? We talked about that, Mo. Because remember, I was going back and forth. I was like, do I want this classic IC from shop? Because it was only $200, and I was because the detail.
A couple of weeks ago.
Belt,
Yeah.
The detailing they had on that belt. Really, like, if you look at that classic IC replica from WWE shop that they're selling right now, the detailing on that belt is amazing, especially on the strap and everything. Like that was a nice, but I passed.
Yes, that same friend passed on that as well, but wanted to take the one I sent you the link for. Y'all said no to. And I said to him, I said, dude, that belt's $200. You better don't tell me. Man, I can't. And he was sitting on, he had, not telling his business. All right. But you know who you are. at Dice Man Holla on Twitter. You keep saying you want to get one. That was the time, bro. It was $200, and I'm saying you, like, he couldn't afford it. He didn't pull the trigger on it and regretted it. And then he said to me, ultimately, was his first title. The title he loves the most is the Wing Eagle. And and so that does take a place on super fans. When you want your first belt to be that belt, even if you see a belt that you want to have, it's not the first belt you want.
Is he looking for what color? And this makes a difference. What color strap is he? Is he just looking to have that?
The original Wing Eagle, the straight.
He wants
black,
the black strap.
Yep. He with
that belt.
With the F.
That belt goes. Oh, he wants with the F.
With the F.
I say the F gonna be hard on that.
Yeah.
That's gonna be.
Anybody that got it in good condition, go hit him in the head.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll put it this way.
I hit you in the head.
On the low end for if it depends. If you're going custom, if you're going to get somebody to actually make you one, you're paying at least about $5 at least.
See, and I know you're listening here. Take that advice too.
If you're going for a licensed one from like Figures Incorporated from back then, much like the one you got on your wall, Mike. To be honest, if you're finding one in a good, like new, or at least lightly used condition, and I'm sure Mo will agree with me on this, you're probably looking at about, at least if you catch a deal, at least $550, $600.
Yeah. But I think that's a good deal, like you're saying.
That's still not bad though.
And learning the heritage of that title and what that means with that being on there. But guys, television title.
Yeah.
NWA. I'm older than y'all. This means a lot to me. This is the one time I'm actually going to throw some weight around here. And I ain't talking about figuratively either. Okay, I'm talking about my age weight. Okay, because I told y'all about Mania next year. I'll be fitting around them belts around my waist. I'm gonna get a belt around my waist without the extra strap. Okay, no extra strap in LA. It's not gonna happen. I'm gonna have to make room for Roscoe and chickens because I have to make room for that. Because I'm gonna be eating a lot in LA. But this television title, and I said when you think about this belt, I think most people would think that it's Arn Anderson that comes to mind. And for me, I think he's the GOAT of this belt. But the person that made this belt for me, the person that actually made me fall in love with wrestling, not just my father set me down in front of the TV and showed me this guy, but for me, it was the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Okay. I knew people had the belt before him, but it was his run for me when he had this belt, when he was battling Tully Bland. I'm talking about things that just stick in your head, like my wedding day, it just edged in my head. You know what I mean? And him coming to the ring with Tully. Okay, I'm a black dude in Chicago. Okay, when this is the 90s and you getting your head shaved. You know what I'm talking about? You getting CMB is all we got shaved in the back of your head. And Dusty Rhodes, okay, the American Dream, the son of a plumber, is continually showing everybody I can relate. You can relate to me. Shaves Tully in his head in this TV match going into the Great American Bash. And this belt for me, when I seen that at this time, I'd already loved the title. Like I said, it's red. It's my favorite color. I'm a Bulls fan. You see, I got two freaking gamer chairs. They're both red and black. Don't judge me. Okay, it's just what it is. I got red and black, green and black. I make fun of you, Corey, for like a lot of different teams, but I so pick my city when I want to between Chicago and Philly. But it's okay. I digress. But I love that title, Corey, and for me, that is the ultimate best match for this belt I had ever seen to this day, and it was bloody. And back then you bled, okay, especially Dusty Rhodes, okay? And friend of the program, Tully Blanchard, you bled. And this match was just as hard-hitting. It was about 22 minutes long. And it was probably for me the best title match for the television title and any promotion, any television title there ever was for me, because that's what stuck out to me, because they were fighting so hard. Because like I said, there's the world champion. There's Ric Flair. Of course, there's nothing better than look at his daughter. Her name alone makes her the greatest women's wrestler of all time because she's that good and she has the name, right? So you have things you have things that stick out. And what stuck out for me was this match and what it meant for TV, because it was. And I'll emphasize, like, my wife, and I make fun of myself because I'm okay with that. I'm very hard with myself. My wife always says, "Come on, babe, why you gotta be a drumline guy?" And that basically means is that how your shirt says real world versus textbooks, right? I'm more the real world than the textbooks. And I'm not afraid of the textbooks. I'm not oblivious to textbooks, but visual learning is what I am. And I would watch TV all the time. And wrestling was on TV. So that belt meant so much to me, Mo. Your thoughts of the television title, your favorite guy who had it and your favorite match as well after that.
That's a tough question.
You're a young buck.
I mean, I'm old enough to remember, but I'm not smart enough to remember.
So, I'm not smart enough now to remember stuff that happened 3 weeks ago, so it's okay.
Well, I mean, you have an ailment, so. I would say.
Let me try to jog your memory. All right, let me jog your memory for you. No jogging. No jogging.
Go ahead.
Okay, let me jog your memory. All right, and Corey, help me out with this. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we're going back to, I believe, I'm looking for when this title was red, right? And this goes back because it wasn't always red, like Corey said. The first red title for this, if I'm not mistaken, was because it's not the Mike Rotunda. This is not 82. I don't think the title became red until 83, 84.
Yeah, I think it was either 83, 84.
Okay,
You started seeing.
yeah, because it wasn't Mark Youngblood, right? Tully Blanchard had it first. Tully Blanchard.
I think it might have been Tully.
It was Tully. He had it for 353 days. Okay, then he finally lost it to Dusty Rhodes, who only had it for 43 days after that point. Like I said, in Greensboro, North Carolina. Okay. After that, Tully Blanchard got it back. Dusty Rhodes got it back. Then that's when Arn Anderson got his reign with it. All right. The longest. All right. Arn Anderson had it for 248 days. Okay. Lost it again to Dusty Rhodes. Y'all see where we're going here? Dusty Tully, Dusty Tully, Dusty Tully, Arn. Right. Then under, and this is weird for me because this is when I tell you about, I was a Hulkamaniac growing up as a kid, right? Say your prayer, say your body.
Sure.
It took the mega powers exploding for me to become a guy who loved hills. So before that, or right around that, I was introduced to Nikita Koloff. Nikita Koloff, the Russian sickle himself, okay? Forget the clothesline from hell. And I like JBL's clothesline. I'm sorry. But ain't nothing ever going to be worse than a Russian sickle. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Mike Rotunda and the Varsity Club. This is when you say, oh, wrestling can be what I do at school too? So everybody at school who makes fun of me for watching wrestling, I can incorporate that. This what made me go out for the wrestling team when I saw Mike Rotunda and the Varsity Club come on the scene. Rick Steiner had his belt. Mike Rotunda again. Then Sting finally gets it. One of my favorite wrestlers of all time, the Great Muta, gets this title. And what I like about this title, Corey, back to Arn Anderson. About this title that sticks out for me the most, Corey, is that honestly, I didn't like half the guys on that list that had that belt. But because they had that belt, I paid so much attention to them, Corey.
I know you did.
I mean, the match quality that everyone had it, the match qualities was always good. Regardless if you like the person in it or not, that work in the ring and that storylines was always good behind it.
Right. Because they were fighting for the blood of this title. The blood.
Yes,
this has truly had blood, sweat, and tears on this title. I just think it meant, like we mentioned back.
They made it relevant. They made it as relevant as your world title. I mean, some things that you really don't see nowadays, but
at all.
They push that title to the glass ceiling.
That's what Adam Cole does to me today. Adam Cole cares for that title to me like I haven't seen in a while. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that from Adam Cole. And correlating that to when we were talking about a couple episodes ago about how what that belt means to you based off who had that title. And we spoke about our Mount Rushmore. And I said Macho Man and Bret Hart made that Intercontinental belt feel like it was so important. So I loved it because like this television title again. I respected Mike Rotunda because I was doing wrestling in school at 145 pounds. Okay, so it was like cool to see like, oh, I can do that. You know what I mean? And then seeing the dog-faced gremlin at this time, who I was, I had already knew coming over from UWF, and being the older guy, and then seeing Arn Anderson, who I couldn't stand Arn. I'm a Dusty Rhodes guy. I hated the Four Horsemen so much. Like interviewing them, and I remember, but one thing that stuck out to me when I interviewed Tully Blanchard was like, yo, you were supposed to hate us. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I couldn't stand you guys. But this title, it was just so pretty. It was so important to those wrestlers. It made me fall in love with this title. Corey, go ahead.
Well, what's funny, Mike, is that we always talk about how, the Intercontinental Champion, it always felt like that secondary title was like the workhorse title. What's funny, the television title was really the workhorse title. To the United States Championship back then. Because the United States Championship, that was like your dress rehearsal they're going to make you world champion.
Yeah, maybe not. It wasn't a workhorse title. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
it was
the workhorse title was the
TV title
championship, because those were the. Listen to the guys you were just saying. Your Rick Steiners, your Arn Andersons, your Tully. These were the guys that were good in the ring for real. I mean, not that anybody else wasn't good in the ring.
Right.
Realistically, your United States champions, those were your guys. You were getting ready to try and see, okay, are we getting ready to put them in a program with Flair, Rick, to make them the world champion? The television title was go out there for 10, go out there for 15 minutes, have the match of the night, you know, from a technical standpoint. And that's what you got from
Was the TV title the Cruiserweight division for WCW on Monday Night Show that kept all the
Dare I
attention?
say, you're right. No, but that's a great comparison.
That's a shot.
That's not a shot. That's not a shot.
The NWA Television Championship then is equivalent to how the Cruiserweight division
you had the Jerichos. I became a Jericho fan because of the Cruiserweight division. Lionheart.
Those were your guys.
Those were the best guys. Only guy I never liked from that division, I know everybody's don't like it, is I've never been a fan of A Man with a Thousand Holes. Sorry.
Oh,
I'm not a Malenko fan. Not a Malenko fan.
Fair enough. That's fine. And so, but no,
that may be a shot, but I'm just joking.
that was the belt. That was the workhorse title. So absolutely, that belt was what you got your good matches out of your good workers.
Your favorite guy with this title, because as I went over the list, and we do our homework on the show. Trust me, we do. I don't want to be all to go stat check me. And I got your questions and comments coming in a second from the show. Thank you for all your comments and things on our social media at Belt Kings, and you can check out every episode on every single podcast network. But one of them that actually stuck out was I was like amazed that Magnum TA didn't have this title, because I was shocked. I was like, you know, as I look for the pictures to put up for bless you. And I was like, I'm putting his name. It's like he never was the television title holder.
Because
that's
if
amazing.
you think about it, Mike,
he had the U.S. title. He was the guy they were grooming for Flair, like you just said.
Bingo. Magnum TA was the next guy, and he was.
Yeah.
He was the next guy they were going with. So you didn't need him to be television champion. He was already a commodity. And that was the difference too, because if you look at some of the later 80s champions, they were guys that, okay, we know we got some buzz with them. Put the TV title with them first and see where we can go. You know, even though Steve Austin didn't become world champion in WCW.
Yeah, he was TV champion.
And he was U.S. champion.
Yeah.
Same thing with Sting. Sting is probably the number one guy that I say they put him through the rigors of stepping
his belt,
because they made him TV champion. Then and it's funny, he went TV champion and I think then world champion as far as, because he became United States champion much later. But that was the point. But Sting was a guy that they knew they had something with, but they weren't hot-shotting him just yet.
Not at all. And teach them right this on this one, Corey, and I'm sorry for the blind tag, because
you
talked about earlier between the difference between the belts, right? And around the last person with the rig, we talk about Steve Austin, and I even put him in the pictures. I'm glad the title kind of stayed the same. I'm sorry, but the name changed at that point. Okay, so even though the belts are out there, they're the same belt, and this is what I told you a couple shows back as well. As even I as a fan was confused because the title stayed the same, although the company was being called WCW. So the belt is still in question in what we're talking about for certain guys had it, because Steve Austin they had this title, it just said WCW.
And I want to say Steve Austin, I think, is one of the few that I believe Steve Austin was both NWA television champion
and WCW. Yes, you are correct. You are correct.
So it's interesting because that whole early 90s was just a cluster for WCW, NWA, because you knew they were just the television champion, but you didn't really know how to address it, because even the announcers never really addressed it as WA television champion or you were just the world television champion or the United States champion. They never put the acronym with what organization you were representing. So it was all confusing for fans. But I believe you were asking me, my favorite with that champion.
Yes.
To be honest, it's as a historian now, it's really Arn Anderson with that.
Okay.
But far. I mean, he's probably number one on the Mount Rushmore anyway.
He is. It's just not number one with the belt. It's Dusty.
Close second, close second is Tully. I like the horse between the two horsemen having them.
Yeah.
They were, and
They,
you know,
they always had that or the tag team belts. It didn't matter.
Yep.
They was gonna have one of the three. Or
They always
had
had
them all. What are we talking about? The Horsemen had all the titles.
Yep.
Okay, they had all the titles. Security
What do you say,
mode.
Mo?
Did Barry Windham ever have that one?
Yeah, Barry Windham was television champion too.
He was.
I don't know if he had that.
He didn't
one,
have
but I
this
know he was-
belt. He didn't have this
okay.
belt. What he also was the U.S. tag team champion
Definitely
and the U.S. champion. And you know, Barry Windham being he's in my top 15, top 20 wrestlers of all time for me.
Mhm.
So yeah, that one's the one I knew. I don't know much, but I knew that one. All right.
Yeah,
But-
no. He
But-
was. Yeah, I believe he was. Yep, he was.
So, do you
I think
have a
it's the other
favorite
belt.
match for this title? Because I go back to Greensboro, North Carolina, as a
Mhm.
kid watching Dusty and Tully, and like you said, Tully for you being one and him and Arn Anderson. Their matches was great, and for me, like I said, your match, mine's that one, Greensboro, North Carolina.
You know what? I just watched this recently because I was randomly out sitting, as we're all in the house during these. I just thrown random pay-per-views on.
Okay, my son
And
does
a
that.
good match that I saw was from the first Super Bowl with Bobby Eaton and Arn Anderson for the television championship.
Beautiful, Bobby. You just shower me with wrestling compliments today, aren't you? You guys, Barry Windham, Bobby Eaton, Dusty Rhodes. This is the greatest show so far. Y'all episode 6. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Bobby
but
Eaton could go though.
Bobby Eaton could
that
go.
was, and see,
still never a
he was
fan, never
another
like
guy.
a fan though. You know what I mean? Like I tell people like in the modern day, like I'm not a Taker guy, but I still go for Taker if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
No,
I'm
I
not a Taker
understand.
guy. I'm not a Bobby Eaton guy. But even then, I was like, yo, Bobby Eaton can go. He had
Yeah, he
everything. The mullet, that the original leg drop off the top rope was just impressive.
My
The
last
Alabama
name.
Jam.
Oh, your
Yeah.
last name?
Yeah.
Yep. His last name.
that was my initial draw to him. So
Martha, where you know that name? Eaton. That's where I know that name. I got you. Go ahead, Corey.
But that match right there, it was. You always associate at that time. You were mostly associating your Arn Andersons and your Bobby Eatons with tag team wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
See them go out there and put on such a great singles match. You were like, oh my goodness! And Bobby Eaton became television champion.
You said Super Bowl 1?
Yeah,
Okay.
Super Bowl 1. The original first one that was in May, I believe, of '91.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that May of '91. That was that was a great match.
That's a good one. Now I'm gonna have to go back and watch that because my son
now you're gonna have to
does
go back.
that with the network. Like I just go to the network and I just like, I didn't watch that match. They just literally, it'd be like a whole list. And I'm like, dude, will you watch over? No, I don't watch over pay-per-view, Dad. I just go watch a certain match. Like, how do you know what match is good? I just fast forward and stop. if that's what you want to do, now enjoy yourself. That's what the network is there for. Heck, so,
Mhm.
but, so did we jog anything there for you, Mo? You remember these great television world heavyweight champions?
I mean,
Belt
wish
that
y'all
had ABC. That's my favorite network, by the way. So ABC, if you're listening and you want to sponsor this show, I'm okay with that. We're just wrestling fans trying to, not have to pay for WrestleMania.
Oh, man.
Go ahead and donate all you want to ABC. Go ahead, Mo.
I mean, for me, like, I wish I would have had time to do some research into it. Last week was
That's fair.
stupid busy for me
That's
work-wise.
fair.
But I mean, just to stay safe side, the way I know I'm gonna talk about something that I know I'm talking about, I'm gonna just stick with like a Sting and Ruda, throughout it,
And you can't go wrong
instant
with
classics,
Mhm.
So that I'll stick with that. Just
Can't
because
go wrong with that.
I know I can't.
No.
I can't go
That's
wrong.
not even- no.
I'm not going to highlight it just because I can't highlight it.
Right.
But I know it's a safe answer right now.
Can we get a cosplay Great Muta?
From who?
Yeah, from who?
Well, I'm too big to be the Great Muta. Well, not
I'm
maybe
too
not.
young.
Be a great movie.
You too
I'm
what?
too little.
You too little? Yeah, you too short. Mo, you actually have the bill, Mo.
My hair not long enough.
Eh,
Uh,
he went bald sometimes.
Yeah.
I
The only cosplay I'm doing
I
for
get a
Mini
wig.
Nine.
I get a wig.
I can only be Kofi Kingston now. So
Really? I like it. I like it. You gonna bring that back though?
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know.
Unfortunately, it's hard to cosplay as a black man.
It is.
Yeah, it's hard.
You kind of limited.
You're very limited, yo. Like,
It is. You know, every time I make my WWE 2K character, everybody always goes, "Why you do look like Bad News Brown?" I'm like, come on. I'm bald-headed with a beard and I'm chocolate. I gotta look like Bad News Brown, but that's the cosplay I can pull off, though. You know what I mean? But like, we're very limited in what we can cosplay. Because I would do Owen Hart in a heartbeat. Okay, I am not a nugget. I would do that, just go around screaming it all single day long. But you mentioned the Great Muta and Sting, and this is when, honestly, I started to notice how good Sting was. Also,
yeah, that's when you.
Okay, because again, we talked about this before. I'm not the biggest fan of the Sting that became the Crow. I don't get me wrong. I love the gimmick. I think it was great. It was, the storyline was amazing. I loved it. But my Sting was, that was my Sting. The guy who I saw with RoboCop. Okay,
Yeah.
that was my guy, and this was proven to me coming from, again, you being a UWF fan. I remember the Blade Runners with him and the Ultimate Warrior and them splitting and one going that way and one coming this way. So when I saw Sting, you know, being built as to how they were big guys, I didn't know he could go in the wrestling ring. Okay, because to me, the difference between WWF and NWA was those were big guys that were bigger than life characters, right? Versus these were people that I could see anywhere, and they were doing things to me that were amazing. It was just different for me. It was like that was my comic. WWE was my comic book. Yeah, right. So for like,
but the big guys in NWA left the ground. That was the difference. Guys in WWF, they did not leave. If you were a big dude, you did not come off your feet.
Mean Mark Callis to me is I was a Mean Mark Callis fan. So when he became the Undertaker, maybe that's why I have that. The heart punch to me was real. Damn it. It was real to me, damn it.
It was real.
It was real to me.
It was real.
Okay? This man was like, and for those, let me give a little, this is the belt show, right? We're talking about belts. Look, you take that hand, you put it back here. You got to put it all the way back. Make sure the fist is behind the chest. So when you hit him in the chest, no Papa Shango needed. It hurt, okay? It was real to me. As my wife comes around, hey, baby. But I love this title. I love that match. And that time for Sting for me, Corey, was just, that's when I got to see Sting. He had this belt 156 days. That's a great run with this title.
I think Sting and Muta went in Baltimore, Maurice, at the Bash. And they
at the Bash,
They did. Look at
for the television. Sting was television champion. I think he was out there. I think he was accompanied by Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert at that time.
I mean, that's when
Baltimore
you
was known
for holding the Bash.
You just mentioned another one of my all-time favorites is Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert.
Yep.
Okay, people say Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. The slingshot suplex to me was life.
Yeah, Eddie Gilbert was like that. He was a big star. A lot of people don't, because Eddie Gilbert unfortunately gets lost in that NWA lore that you had. Funk, Muta, Sting, all those guys. Eddie Gilbert was a great, and I don't mean in the negative way that people say it sometimes. Eddie Gilbert was a great hand in that.
Yes, he was. He was. And Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. But that match, you're going back, you said, with Sting and Muta, I became a Muta fan because of that as well. Again, this is what I'm actually learning to not like the characters of my comic book, right? Because people like, when it comes to Marvel and DC, I was always a cartoon guy. Right. Again, I'm a visual watcher. So my comic book was WWE and stuff like that. But then I'm watching Mood. I'm like, oh wow, I can see, this guy, his character is really. At this point, I'm watching character development, and I'm seeing characters that are, that I can relate to, or that was real to me. Damn it, right? And so you see this, and he's spitting the miss out. You know what I mean? And you don't understand what he's saying, but he's doing these, being a Bruce Lee fan, great 30 for 30, by the way, and he's just looking amazing again, fighting for this title.
And Muta was doing stuff at that time that we hadn't seen. He was introducing new style into, and even with Sting, like they really gave him a platform,
New Japan Pro Wrestling. New Japan Pro Wrestling.
And even with the release of the Sting little documentary they just put on the network last week, that highlighted a good portion, in a short time of Sting, the face thing, I'll say that, the face thing, with the blonde hair and things of that nature.
That's the least they can do.
It-
That's the least they can do for Sam over there.
I mean, but it was in the short session of it. It was a lot of information poured into it.
Yeah.
You know, so for people that really don't have background into Sting and what he put out behind the scenes, like that was a good thing. I mean, he worked for it in the ring too, though. So
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Absolutely. Yeah, that's so funny we're talking about this. That's so funny we're talking about this belt because it's funny. Mike likes this television title. I love this one, but probably for some weird reason, I don't know what my infinity was with the version that came after this.
Okay.
I don't know what it was, but I loved that championship.
Well, good. Don't get this one then, y'all. don't get this one. All right.
Yeah, I still might get this one. But
I know you would. That one I sent you was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was beautiful, and I was gonna pull the trigger right then and there, and then I said one of y'all mentioned to me about AJ, and that's when I inboxed them, and you know what I mean. And so that's what I'm used to. That's where my belts come from. That's when I go ahead and get it back from him. But so let me just say, so we got our favorite matches. Your favorite match, favorite guy, my favorite guy. Mo's gonna play the safe role, which is okay, but he's here to talk about the belts. You're still gonna have who the best guys you've seen with this title. The Mount Rushmore, we do it every week. I can't say the worst champion I've seen with this title. Probably Z-Man. I hate that I put that there.
Why would you say that? Because he was actually he was one of those guys. Once again, as I mentioned, you weren't really making him world champion just yet, but the guy was
trying to.
They were
going to push him.
Yeah, they were. They were pushing.
And then what we talk about guys being shoved down your throat, and I always say, hey, there's no champion ever that hasn't been shoved down your throat. So when people say, oh, they're giving me too much Roman, no, they gave you too much everybody. That's what wrestling does, okay? At this time, I didn't like seeing him so much on TV as they were pushing him so hard. It just didn't work for me.
He was WCW's sexiest man at that time.
To me, he
it's
Victor Model.
That's what they named him.
He was Victor Model Man Montel Part 2 is what I thought.
That's what they named him. I forgot what clash that was, but I just thought it was the silliest thing watching now. But back then, that was a thing.
Yeah.
And of course, my favorite and yours, Missy Hyatt, named. Yeah. Missy was a great addition for WCW at that time. She really was. You weren't seeing that type of woman in wrestling at that time. So she was very unique. So
she was between her and Baby Doll to me. Like Miss Elizabeth's my girl, but Baby Doll and Missy Hyatt to me, along with Sensational Sherry, might be the best ballets in wrestling for me. And that's why I'm loving Selena Vega's work. I'm loving Selena Vega's new work. I think she's gonna. I wish they keep that stable together. I hope they do. But we're talking about the television title. And we brought up earlier. We brought up Magnum TA, and I didn't want to get away from saying this because I like bringing up things that makes reference points at that point. And this point was that's why I love Hangman Page. The throwback. He reminds me of that Magnum TA kind of guy. And that future, we're talking about the future of businesses is why I brought it back. And I think he can be that guy to me, he's the best star in AEW to me. And I just can't wait for him to really just explode on the scene. I remember when they were
like Marco Stunt.
Oh, come on. No, but you know what though? Nobody is doing right now what he's doing, which is why he has a spot. And he's doing with his spot the absolute most you can do with his size and his appearance. He's doing the most of what you can do with that. So he's definitely big ups to him because he's for a guy that's like 5'2", 5'3", or whatever, 130 pounds or whatnot. Nobody else in the business looks like him. Like not Rey Mysterio, nobody looks like Marco.
Nobody looks like you, Bobby. Pose for him, Bobby. Show him, Bobby. No one looks like you, Bobby. I love that, by the way. And shout out to MVP last night for that Shad Gasball shirt. I need to get it. I want to get it. All right, I got mine from Collar and Elbow. All proceeds go to Shad's family. But Mount Rushmore, Corey, for the television title.
Let's see. Arn Anderson, Dusty Rhodes, Tully Blanchard.
I think it's pretty easy.
And once again, this is where every week never fails. You get to the fourth, and you're like, here's my fourth. Steve Austin.
There's something wrong with that. He had a legitimate run with this title. Same belt, guys. Company just changed names, but you didn't know that. Great run with that title. For me, I have no cartoons with that. But of course, I'm going to mimic the three: Arn, Tully, and Arn, Tully, and Dusty.
Mm-hmm.
My torn is between Sting and between Nikita Koloff.
Fair enough.
Right?
Fair enough.
Because I'm going to say Koloff because
Mm-hmm.
in the midst of everything was going back and forth, he was the guy who they implemented into the Horsemen. And for me, that gimmick alone when he was counting them down.
Yeah.
Horsemen, you crooked, all that. I'm going to go with Nikita Koloff.
Fair enough.
For my Mount Rushmore, I love that. I'm just sorry that guy. He put that chain around his arm. That title run was impressive, and he was beating guys. He was a television champion. He's getting you're watching what's it called on Saturdays?
What
TBS
Worldwide.
And he's not Worldwide. That's the one that came.
Wait, Saturday night.
Saturday night. Yeah,
he's beating these guys in 40 seconds. And you know what I mean? For this title, and you're just talking a great promo after it. Mo, can you give us one?
Yeah, I was going to mimic the 3 and hoping you took somebody else because I was going to say Nikita Koloff for the 4.
Yeah.
But you can put in, you can add it. I second it if you don't, which I already did the first it. But you got Sting, and you still got the Great Muta to me that's in that range. Even the Mike Rotunda, but you don't probably remember that run though, so that's okay from you.
Mike Rotunda and Rick Stein.
Mike Rotunda's run was really good. Rich Steiner, they never trusted him enough because of the gimmick.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, he would have the belt for 60 days, 2 months, and he'd have him lose it. Yeah, he'd get it back. He's always contention for it. Always use that JR line about the antagonist versus the protagonist. You know what I mean?
Rotunda was what, roughly a year almost?
Yeah, almost a year.
Yeah.
Almost a year. So, he had 335 days was one run with it. Then he got it back. Yeah, Rotunda had it for a while. I remember that's why Steiner even got it because they were in the middle of the Varsity Club breaking up.
Yep.
Okay, Varsity Club being Danny Spivey, Dr. Death Steve Williams, Rick Steiner, and Mike Rotunda, with the manager being Kevin Sullivan. So a group for me that stood out, which that's why I thought was going to come back before he got injured with Chris Nowinski. And then I thought they were going to redo the Varsity Club. And I still am waiting on them to do something like that. Like, historians, that was the word today. Historians, right? That's where you will keep wrestling fans happy forever. It's the history. You have to build a history for us to have, right? So
that's
because you can definitely do it because even like Varsity Club, somewhere in that area is always going to be relevant because you still have collegiate wrestling and things of that nature. I mean, you had Alex Riley come in. You could have done something in that. I thought it was going to be
Alex Riley, as a matter of fact.
Even if you didn't have him wrestle, you could have had Matt Striker be somewhat of a mouthpiece to it, So even
at one time,
Sandow in it, I think he would have been the breakout in that, kind of. But
if you think about it, though, guys. Think about this, guys. At one time on that roster, you had Nowinski, Haas, and Benjamin, and Lesnar.
It was going to be You could have before Team Angle came. I thought even could have threw Angle in that mixture to be their leader. Even I thought it had so much promise with that. And this is what hurts me about WWE in no disrespectful way. I've been always upset that they never took advantage of bringing in a television title. It just never made sense to me. Like, to me, that's one belt that makes sense in wrestling because you're on television.
But they had a European title in the sense. But it wasn't. That's what they acted as. But you wanted the physical. You wanted actual television. I get it.
Yeah.
But their television title was the European Championship. You
got to have a TV title, Vince. All right. You got to have a TV title.
So who do you think present day could carry it?
Could take a TV title?
A television title right now?
Easy.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Big E Langston and bring back the 5. Bring back the 5 with Big E Langston. Easily.
Somebody I'm going to say.
Or my new favorite guy, I'm sorry, who Angel Garza, I'm sorry, right now, to me, is the best in WWE.
He's very good.
I'm sorry. People say they don't understand what I see in him. And I say because they want to compare the Spanish God to Eddie Guerrero. No, he has nothing on Angel Garza. What he does with Charlie Caruso in the back, and we talk about Charlie right? And then those are my two, Biggie and him. Those are just their personalities, and they're good at what they do. It's just amazing.
I'm gonna go different, just because I know obviously one would be Cesaro. Everybody deserves all nice things.
He does
in the ring. But somebody else I would say would be a good television champion for what we're talking about, what the television championship was. Chad Gable.
Shorty G?
That's what I was gonna say.
Right, you right.
That's,
That's what I was gonna say. No, Chad Gable, not Shorty
Chad Gable,
G.
not Shorty G.
I know what you meant.
Chad
I know
Gable.
what you meant. I know what you meant.
Chad Gable. That's why I said
I thought you
Chad
were gonna
Gable.
say, you know, since you were showering me with wrestling compliments today, I thought you were gonna say Dolph Ziggler. Right?
No, because Dolph is already established. For what he does.
Good point. It was, but it's such a workhorse.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get no respect at having that.
Oh no, he
Anything
is.
He does.
But he's above for what we're talking about. What a television title was.
I know. I just wanted to.
I think he's above. No, understandable. But no, Chad Gable is probably the perfect television champion. He's the guy you can get behind, and he's the guy that he will pull off good matches. And it's okay that he beats guys because it's the television championship. I'm not saying for what it was back then, as far as grooming to be world champion. I'm not saying United States Championship on him, but a television championship would easily elevate him to where you would believe him becoming United States champion after a television title run.
See, and to your point, Knox, with Ziggler, he'd be a good chaser.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because because with him being so established and things of that nature, he forces you to step your level up. You know, and hold that mantra. So, I would Chad Gable. That was my answer.
Would this be a belt that you would hope that they would put on, say NXT, or would this be a main roster television title if they were to bring this title?
NXT, they've got their North American Championship, so
that's their TV title.
That's their.
Okay, again, I'm looking for the name. See the mistakes they've made. North American Championship television title sounds a lot better, Vince.
Well, NXT wasn't on television.
Oh, they are now.
I mean, they are now.
And they're on networks. They're on someone's TV. He said
for
how long? He said for
how long? You know what? Here's what I'm surprised.
No, that's not a shot. That's
I know it's not a shot. I know it's not a shot.
Here's what I'm surprised at, guys, that we're talking about television championship as far as the name television championship.
Yeah.
As far as between all the brands, and, you know, they can go ahead and have this idea if they want. Why hasn't there been a WWE Network Championship?
Because they were too busy making those Facebook matches.
Because everything that's on the network, you could have a network champion. You already do main event on the network. You do superstars. You do, or that title could circulate between. That's really your belt that you could circulate between all the brands is a network championship.
That'd go. That's as close as I like that better than North American.
I'm saying if they're not going to do television, they could do network.
I love Keith Lee. Nothing against Keith.
You keep the North American and get rid of the 24/7.
You do that too. People thought they were doing that, and they bought the 24. People thought, TV title.
Yeah.
People thought TV title, and then they brought the 24/7 belt. And the first thing came out of U-belt collector's mouth was, "I don't like it, but I'll buy it." The first thing folks said.
No, I never. No.
Who's in the chat? Somebody said.
Whoa.
Somebody
it got
said.
to be on a hell of a sale for me to buy.
You would still own it though one day.
No, I never liked it. I don't even like the concept of it.
No, the concept. It's nothing but the hardcore title. It's nothing but the hardcore, you know.
But it can't be hardcore now.
No, it can't be hardcore, right? Yeah. Before we got here, we got some. You got some.
Not when everybody getting pinned with roll-ups off of it.
All roll-ups, the roll-up title. All right, they can get some sponsorship by Fruit Roll-Ups, right? Because that's how many roll-ups they do after that belt. The most dangerous move in wrestling. Shout out to King Von Jr. who said Dusty, Arn, Tully, and Muda would be his four. Shout out to Miss Clemens who says Arn, Tully, Dusty, Steve Austin.
See.
Shout out to Weekly Blitz Podcast, Mr. Big Rick, who says Arn, Tully, Muda, Sting.
Okay, fair enough.
How you don't have Dusty on this list? Oh, because I'm older than all y'all. That's what it is. I'm older than all y'all. I get it. I get it.
Fuck these people list.
I'm not. And shout out to Chris. The real CP Platt on Twitter also said, give him Arn, Tully. I'm sorry, I hit the button. Arn, Tully, Dusty, and Sting. I like that too. Again, like we always say, you really can't go wrong. Okay, it's just personal to me with this belt. Once episode 7 comes, it ain't about the TV title. I will digress back to the guy I've made for this show. But Mike Knox had to come out. The real Mike Knox had to come out for this belt because I cannot wait till this belt gets here. When it comes, we might have a part 2 so I can just show it on camera. Okay? That's what I'm going to do. But until then, You can find Corey at, where at Corey's? I don't want to mess it up, which I know I got it right today.
My kicks are my fix.
Boom.
Yeah.
And Mo_Eden, you're on every single social media. But you know, this whole show, you sat back like you were at your other job, like security. You should have seen your face. When you see your face, that's how you look when you're at work.
Leave that man alone.
I'm at work.
What's wrong with you?
I know.
I'm at work. I mean, like, I haven't learned how to tone my face out yet.
No, it's fine. That's your face is your face, brother.
Even
God
if
gave you that
I've been
face.
sitting here, like, I know ain't nothing happening in this house, but I'm constantly looking around.
You
So,
got to. You got to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is what it is.
No, I'm
gonna be better prepared next week. I'm gonna do my research next week. I got some downtime so far.
Oh, I got some downtime, dude. Listen, I might be finally going back to work after 144 days. So,
well, how about this, Maurice? If you're committed to next week, then how about we let him pick the championship we talked
how
about?
about that? See, that means as of right, did you say no?
I said no.
We never tell him on air what the teller is because we don't know on air what the teller is.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know.
Even though last week he gave us a heck of an Easter egg, and I was right about the Easter egg. And he was like, as soon as he said your favorite belt, I think, oh, he said one of your favorites. So I just said, okay, well, he knows it's one of my favorite. I've been plugging y'all, which how about this title? You know, but I don't want to be the one who does it all. But I love it. I love the ideas. I thank you guys for coming on. I love this show. Guys, Spotify, Google Plus, or Google Podcast, or I don't know, whatever podcast, iHeartRadio. You can listen to it on Sirius XM, I believe, somewhere down the line. Right? Wherever you are, we're there. Just follow us, guys, and spread the word. Listen, this is a show for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans who love wrestling belts. It's really that simple. Nothing more, nothing less. We're all the same. Belt Kings, we are here, and we thank you for being here today, guys. We'll see
Be
y'all
on the
next week.
lookout for the shirts coming soon. Shirts coming soon.
Boom!